Welcome once again back to the Up and Downs. It's time for ByuN versus ParalyzE. Before we get into that game, we're going to take a look at our current standings.
The next game is going to be quite exciting also for the standings itself. Here, of course, you have ParalyzE with the 1-0 lead in the group, as well as Super. The both Boros players are doing really well so far in the group, winning their first match here. ByuN 0-1 right now. Next game is going to be very important for him. Effort also at the bottom of the ranks, and Korea is caught in the middle.
Yeah. Legend again is sending me some weird cryptic messages in the chat.
What is that face?
I don't know.
Oh, ByuN going full monkey here.
That was pretty funny.
He didn't look at that. He's not too happy with his results so far.
Yeah. I don't. Talk about a thick upper lip or bottom lip.
Come on, ByuN, you still have a couple of games here. Don't worry so much. You can still pull that off. It's not all over. Oh, that looked really cool.
What is... you see the ParalyzE? Like, he's like rocking back and forth. These guys are having a contest to see who can look the silliest before the game starts.
Yeah, it's like an extra contest that they currently have going on there. But, well, the contest that really counts in the end is, of course, the Starcraft 2 match between the two of them. And it's going to take place on WCS, the map that we are heading into right away here in our second set of matches. ByuN is up versus ParalyzE. We have a Terran versus Protoss here. The GSL up and down Group D. Trying to find out if ByuN takes another loss or if he will be able to take a 1-1 here. GSL up and downs with Caldan Wolf. Our prime player starts to the top right of the map, currently in red. This is Terran player for prime team. It is, of course,
ByuN Prime.
already having a lot of troubles against the Protoss player that he faced in his last game. Was not the best game that he... well, not a... it was actually like a really aggressive style, but in the end it was Super who took the win. Now ByuN is up against the second Protoss player in the group, starting cross position to the bottom left. It is
SK Telecom T1, ParalyzE.
Once had a bird live in his head.
Yeah. Same was also true for Blanca.
Yeah.
For Anasosa, aka Tacita. Then he got a haircut.
You know, whenever you have Afro like that, well, hold that thought. It's Warhound again.
With a shield.
Whenever you have a hair that's like that, you never really know exactly what the top of that person's head is even shaped like. And it's like, is he hiding something under there? Is he trying to keep that from us? Does he have a really embarrassing tattoo up there?
Yeah, and if you have an afro, those questions are really annoying. I had one for a long time and people kept asking me, and then I decided that I was so fed up with it that I actually decided to shave my head.
You know, you look the best with the afro when we did the off the record.
That was
you remember
so
that?
Cool. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that picture that was on Reddit where Tasteless and me were photoshopped next to each other because we made the exact same move when they asked us for like a picture. That was so funny. That picture was awesome. I remember that now.
Yeah.
Good old times. That was a long time ago.
I miss off the record.
I actually think it was like exactly a year ago, right? It was summer 2012.
Yeah, around that. Yeah, about a year ago. Yeah, you're right. Well, we have Nexus before Core going down here. Blind, in fact, from ParalyzE. So
he's taking a risk here, that's for sure. But ByuN is going into the same build that we saw him execute against Super, at least so far. We don't know yet if he's really determined to go also into the draw play once again, but at least we have him at this point. Actually, he already pulled out from the refinery, so he doesn't go for those 2 additional LCVs after he has the gas for the Reaper and for his reactor. And he's changing his build a little bit because of the map. And he's actually able to kill that scout.
Nice. That's, you know, that's one of the reasons why these Reaper builds are so popular. There's so much flexibility with this, and it's almost, you know, I think we're actually at a point where we could say that this is the most common opener in this matchup. Almost every game we see in TVP, it's a Reaper into expand with the reactor.
It was also a little bit lucky for him here that he got that that scouting probe. That was really good, and for ParalyzE, this is of course annoying as hell. I mean, he doesn't know anything. He has no idea. He knows where his opponent spawns, but that's about it. So
and he also knows he has gas in some form, but he doesn't know how much.
Exactly, that's true, but he doesn't know, okay, is there going to be a drop play? Is there just going to be a base? And you can really see that now the build that ByuN uses here is completely different from what he's shown us against Super earlier. He goes into this early engineering bait that we've seen oh so often, so gets the +1 attack upgrade then. But in terms of economy, ParalyzE gets the better opening.
Yeah. ByuN, again, playing this like a ram. He just wants to go and smash his head into ParalyzE, even though they're at cross spawns. He's got the +1 coming out very quickly with the reactor. He's going to have a lot of Marines powered up by the time that +1 is ready. He will have late medevacs as a result, but you know, the direct pressure that's going to come off is something that ParalyzE is not going to expect on cross spawns on Whirlwind. Yeah.
And one of the things that we have now, of course, is ByuN also probably in a bit of a... ByuN is a player that is very emotional. That's something that we see in the GSL. So he's now in one of those spots where you are just a little bit agitated. And I can definitely see him losing his cool if that game doesn't go his way. Because he has shown over and over again that those games really affect him.
Yeah. And especially in the late game, he seems to get a little bit flustered by harassment. Oh! Barely gets it.
Yeah, it was about to jump, but then it was a second too late. The mothership Merciless takes it down. But now to the top right, we have this +1 attack upgrade halfway done, and we talked about this. So he can move out. Stalker, really important, but he sees it in time and pulls it back.
Yep, Stalker pulled back there, and right now ParalyzE is moving this mothership core to the north. He could take a fast third base, it's kind of like what we saw before. And nice micro on that Stalker, just trying to damage these Marines, which really hurts the pressure of ByuN quite a lot, because by the time he gets all the way across the map, his Marines are going to be much weaker than they would be otherwise.
If you have all the time in the world, then you can do so much with a few Stalkers against Marine. I remember a game that Grubby played back in the day in Metalopolis when he just transitioned over from Warcraft 3 and was really focusing a lot more on the micro instead of the macro. He played a game where with like 3 Stalkers, he took down about 20 Marines. Lost the game in the end, but those were the only Stalkers that he still had, so he did so much with them. It was really amazing to watch. It was a little bit sad that he wasn't rewarded for it in the end.
Right.
But it just shows that if you have the time, if there's nothing else that you have to do at that point, then you can really achieve a lot with them.
A lot of players will actually micro on the minimap even with this. Well, here we go. The Marines rocket in. He did kill one. He damaged a lot, but he still has to be careful here.
Yeah.
Hold that sentry back. Really great micro here by ParalyzE. Extremely good.
So far he didn't lose anything here, but the Stalker's not getting to the front, but finally the Mothership Core has to enter the scene and has to drop that photon overcharge, and now ByuN has to back off.
You could really see that he was so reluctant to use that. He was almost able to push ByuN back without even using the energy. It was really, really impressive to see.
ByuN didn't really do anything with this. He didn't bait out any kind of additional units, so only the ones that ParalyzE was already trying to get into the game anyways. He continues with his tech, has everything safe here, and even, is he? No, not able to save the Observer. But like, ParalyzE position here is really good, going into Engineering Bay, into the Twilight Council that he can access the +2 upgrades.
That wasn't even your everyday observer spot, too. That was spotted by the watchtower far away, so that was really keen eye there by ByuN to be able to notice something like that. He wouldn't have been able to see it on the minimap, of course.
ByuN is now ready with Stim, and he has Medivac number 1, number 2 on the map in a few seconds, so he can really start to do a lot here. Gets also a very good scan off that scouts everything, and now is the time where ByuN has to show us a bit of aggression, how well he can play here against ParalyzE defense.
Yeah. This is what it's all about here. This type of attack, this type of push, is what ByuN's entire build revolves around, and he has to make sure he does some serious damage, otherwise his opponent's tech is going to overwhelm him.
If you go into the early +1 attack upgrade, you want to do something with it. At least when the Stim starts to kick in, then you need to do something. You take the third base behind it, and this is exactly what ByuN is doing right now. Third base going into combat shield armor will also be done as soon as he starts with this drop, but he needs to be careful because there are quite a few observers for ParalyzE on the map, 3 in total, spotting his every move.
Yeah, the 2 medevacs here starting to heal some of those damaged Marines from earlier, and he's all just got to deal with that one Colossus. He does not have combat shield, so...
but the Stim is not doing a lot for him, and the Colossus so far has done a significant amount of damage. Here comes the Guardian Shield.
This was actually the worst possible scenario for ByuN, where he stims and gets nothing.
ByuN in Heart of the Swarm, just not the most successful player against Protoss. He still seems to struggle with this matchup quite a lot, and now he has to do something. He's falling behind. Yes, he gets that third base, but the question is, can he defend as soon as ParalyzE moves on his own? Here comes once again the speed boost into the main base, picking off that one pylon, but the rest of the army is in position.
gets away here, but you know he doesn't. You know he would have liked to get the robotic support bay instead there. He's just trying to fight everywhere he can, but he's shut down at every turn.
Third base a little bit later here for ParalyzE, and in the main base still a few units just set up to wait for the next attempt of the ByuN to do damage. And here they are, Colossus taking charge, the rest of the units streaming in. A blink! Oh wow, just barely with 3 hit points surviving here.
That was very close. And a Zealot run by here, going to potentially kill, well, just one SCV is here and he runs away. So he could damage the commander at least.
That was one of the things that really was a problem for ByuN playing in the GSTL against Protoss. I love that the Zealots just retreat.
Yeah.
It's not so cool that they retreat right into the army that is on the way back, but still.
And, you know, he tries to save them. He damages these units a little bit, which does use some energy and... Oh! Wow! He has to use a second scan to kill an observer.
That is so frustrating when you have to use a double scan against your opponent's observer here. I mean, it's really important to make sure that you limit the scouting information, and especially observers sometimes act like a legal map hack if they are spread out well and positioned in good places. You can see everything on the map, all the movements of your opponent, and that gives you such a significant lead. But right now, it's of course very annoying for ByuN to drop this much energy for it. And his macro slipped a little bit earlier. He also had to use energy for the extra supplies on the supply depots here.
Yeah. ByuN he's ahead in supply because his macro is so good and he's had this third base. This is how ByuN's Terran vs. Frost start to look. He gets aggressive, he gets a supply lead, he's always down on upgrades but always up on army supply, and he tries to use that to his advantage, but on cross spawns on Whirlwind, this is going to be a problem. He can't hit a lazy boy push. It's too far, and he's missed his window.
Yeah, the big issue for him really being that his upgrades are falling so far behind with the +2/+2 already being started. And I think he just now completed the armory a few seconds ago, so at this point, yeah, he has it, so he could go into the upgrades right now into +2/+2. But it's definitely a big issue for him that he lost so much time with this. And if you go into this build that he executed, you want to do a bit of pressure, you want to just do some damage, and he never was able to kill anything. Like, ParalyzE was always present with units in the main base, at the natural, waiting for those drops to happen, and now takes a huge lead in the upgrades that he can use later on in the fights.
He needs to get his army back up here, though. If ByuN gets a snipe on the Nexus, that would be excellent. Not able to do it.
There is still a choke point, and ByuN would be ill-advised to try to run up that ramp.
Yeah, definitely not wise to do so. Ghost Academy coming out here. ByuN's upgrades, again, very, very late. Stylistically, he's always late on those additional upgrades. You know, he more focuses on getting his attacks out sooner, getting those Marauders out, trying to focus on his production first.
Twice he had to use the oversupply here in the main base. Ghost Academy is now finishing. He has a significant amount of Vikings in the game, so that's something where ParalyzE will struggle a little bit with his Colossi, given a good position for ByuN's Vikings, of course.
Right, 6 to 5 right now, but he's making 4 at a time, and the transition to Storm is one that will happen very soon.
Yeah, it should. He has the first Archons now in the game. We have more High Templars coming in, but the upgrades, once again, the big issue here, +3/+3 has been started by ParalyzE immediately after 2-2 finished.
Yeah. And this attack, looking, you know, it looks fierce, but the positioning is all that matters. And if ParalyzE at the top of that ramp, this attack will do nothing.
He cannot hope to achieve anything here. Not with the units like this. Too many Colossi just waiting for the Marines there at the choke point. And we don't have anything to guard this third. And once more, we have Zealots streaming towards the mineral line, trying to kill a few of the Harvesters, moving them all the way into the mineral line before attacking. And he can at least take down mining time and also killing quite a significant amount of SCVs here. 4 or 5 so far.
Oh, wow, yeah. And he's losing so much mining time here, Calder. And ByuN's built a little bit of a bank, but he's actually just going to bring these SCVs potentially to fight. Nope, decides to turn around.
Both players taking their 4th base now, and the tech is just further progressing. ParalyzE is halfway done with 3-3. He's heading into Storm, whereas ByuN is going for Ghosts, 5 at a time. But let's see if he starts those upgrades. He needs to start +3/+3. It's bad enough as it is, fighting with 1 upgrade set disadvantage, but he has to try to catch up.
Right, he goes for +2 arrow weapons first. Puts his gas into that. ByuN is kind of in an awkward position right now because he's trapped up at the top of this ramp. He can't break down against his Protoss force. And ParalyzE, during this, realizes he has this opportunity, he has this map control to take a 4th base.
Yeah, he's waiting for 3-3 to finish and also Storm. So far, we don't really have a lot of high Templars for him. He's completely relying on those Archons. Here comes the potential fight in the middle of the map, and ParalyzE has to set up his units. Exactly what he does right now, trying to bring those Archons to the front to deal with the Vikings.
Line of sight blocker here, working against him a little bit, but now he closes the distance. Decent EMPs.
Really good EMPs, actually, and that Mothership Core didn't do anything, no time warp, no nothing, and suddenly it is ByuN who chases his opponent across the map.
ByuN down in upgrades, but up in army supply, up in army size. He uses his brute force to try to come through here, attacking directly. Yeah. He has the Viking count here. He's gonna fight.
Absolutely horrible positioning for ParalyzE in fight number 1. Now the Protoss player, he has to engage. ByuN with a stutter step back. Those ghosts trying to do the best they can with the EMPs, and the supply for the Protoss is just melting away.
No storms here. You know, he has the upgrade advantage. That's what the only thing he really has, but he doesn't have those storms that he would have liked to have. Storms have made this a different fight, but ByuN always struggling against the Zealot Run Bites. Loses another command center, loses so many SCVs right now.
Unbelievable that he didn't see that. He just had to live, nothing else. 3-3, of course, is done for ParalyzE. And ByuN actually not using those units that he has on the map to push in. I don't think... Can he check if he knows about the 4th? I feel like he missed that.
He does not know. He's only seen the pylons placed there, but he hasn't actually seen the next. The pylon's there for a long time,
yeah,
so...
He had a chance to move in there and do damage, but right now he gave ParalyzE the chance to just remax with the resources that he had banked up, and now ParalyzE, he can come back into this. He has 6 High Templars that he can use for storms. Once again, the Zealots in the mineral line at the 3rd.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He doesn't even use snipe on these ghosts. Definitely could have done that. Another mule goes down, kills 2 mules with this.
ByuN, I mean, the best chance that he had was actually moving in and do some damage, not into the natural where the bulk of the army was, but maybe just move to the right, take down the 4th, and then go into the Medivacs and speed away and bring those units to safety. But as it is, he took down army supply, traded cost efficiently, but the resources and the army lead for ParalyzE now is what gives him a hard time, and those ghosts are completely out of position.
3 ghosts, and they're having a sail here, and yeah, he gets decent EMPs on the Zealots, but the damage has already been done. ParalyzE steps back. Remember, he still has his upgrade lead.
Yeah, and that upgrade lead is carrying him a long way. This is looking worse and worse here for ByuN. ParalyzE is using his bank once again, and this is one of the huge advantages that a Protoss player has. Once the fight started and both armies are dropping in supply, the Protoss swaps in right at the front if he has the pylon and can just use those reinforcements immediately. ByuN is trying to pull the SCVs, but I don't know if that's really going to work against the storms.
The storms here were in perfect position. Preemptive storm here on the Vikings. He knew the exact location they'd fly in. And yeah, he can kill that Archon all he wants, but he's losing more and more time here. The bank that's being built, he can remax so quickly with the gateways. Another Zealot run by queued up here.
ByuN has to do something. He lost his 4th base to those Zealots, so he has to do something. He cannot catch up against 4 bases if his opponent's already up 1. But now double Colossi production. The Colossi are chased away, but those storms, they just hit.
And there's a cold front counter coming from the north. He's going to drop some serious storms on that army if ByuN doesn't spot it. And so far, he doesn't know.
Yeah, low pressure system moving in, trying at least. Not spotted so far, but those ghosts are still pursuing the High Templars, and ParalyzE actually leaves them behind.
One good storm, but is that enough?
Oh, here we go! What is he doing? Ah! He gets the storm in the end, but that could have been so much better. He's still moving in, and ByuN, he already lost a lot of supply.
Blanket EMPs though, and he has enough to push this back. Unbelievable!
Yeah, but still, he lost too many SCVs already. His army is all the way down in the red. He doesn't have the number of Medivacs that he needs to save it. He's
on a clock. Bad. You know, he really has a short period of time to make something work here.
But he gets a great position. And he is actually getting a really good position on the high ground.
Yeah, he needs to get his flank ready.
I don't think he has the Vikings, though. I don't think he can deal with those Colossi.
There's way too many Zealots. The Vikings fall down. They're too low on hit points from the storms earlier, and ParalyzE takes the game.
There is nothing that he has anymore against the Colossi with the Vikings gone, and therefore he will lose this fight. There is just no comeback for ByuN at this point in time. 2 Protoss players he faced so far in the up and down group, and against both, he lost. GG.
And ByuN now 0-2.
ByuN needs to win both of his remaining games if he wants to advance to Korea today. Then he has a chance. As it is right now, he has to hope for other players to get certain results and has to win the remaining games against Curious and against Effort. Both the games against Zerg. And he looks effective. We talked about him and his nerves in such a situation that he really gets agitated and has a problem with the emotions here. And
he's just having such a rough time against pros. Over the past month, he's lost to Super, Rain, First, and Crank. All of them.
Yeah, he lost every... Like, against Protoss, he has a huge problem right now. His best matchup is the matchup against Terran. Now he has to face Zerg players, and this is his only hope. And against Curious and against Effort, it's not going to be easy at all to take those guys down. So, for ByuN, not a good start.
Yeah, he's
worst start possible.
He's in a position where now he can't even control his fate necessarily. His fate is in other people's hands as well as his own.
Exactly. It's not up to him anymore. He has to win all of his games, and even then he doesn't know if he advances. He has to hope for a tiebreaker here. So ByuN is in the worst position possible. And of course, there's also a psychological aspect to this, heading into a third and a fourth game with the knowledge that you have to win those games. You cannot drop another game.
Yeah, there's no flexibility there. It's all on you directly, and then of course, just knowing that even if you win both games, it may not even be enough.
Yeah, he has to keep those hopes alive if he wants to advance to Korea today. Maybe he can push through somehow and gets lucky here, but things are certainly not looking good for him. On the other hand, we have now ParalyzE with the second win, and he is 2-0 in the group. So very dominant performance so far today, doing a really good job here, defeating Curious earlier and now taking out ByuN. So he's actually in a spot where things are looking pretty decent for him so far. He's not through just yet, but yeah, he's the one player who didn't drop a map so far in his second game.
Yeah, looking very decent. The next map is going to be Atlas for Super versus Effort, so could be a lot of different strategies coming out on Atlas.
Yeah, Super versus Effort is, of course, once again a very interesting match, and this could determine a lot here. If Super takes it, then him and ParalyzE, the two Protoss in the group, would be in a 2-0 position. And for Effort, he's in the same position that ByuN was in before the game. If he loses another match, then suddenly he wouldn't be 0-2. And that, of course, would be, that is not what he wants here. Yeah. He wants to take this right now and make sure that he is on the same score as Curious, for example.
Absolutely. Well, Super, we'll see if he can keep himself together here on Atlas. We could see a gateway expand, very common for this map. It's a 4-player map, but it's not as big as some of our other 4-player maps, like Whirlwind, like we just saw.
Yeah, definitely. And Super so far looking really strong today. We talked a bit about his win ratios also against all of the races, and his domain, like where he plays, this is GSTL, and in GSTL his results this season were amazing. We're going to talk about that in a second. Jumping into the game right now here, GSL up and down, Super up against Effort, but Paul Wolf.